Sonic Universe Issue 56 Reboot. We start out with Blaze being trapped in a cage by the pirate robots being moved along with them. Again, it's absolute bullshit that this happened when she has special powers and they don't. This whole arc never would happen. And the cage is immune to her fire at least, which explains why she doesn't immediately take off. Amy and Cream are stuck on a crate filling up with water and think that they're doomed. But why doesn't Cream just fly to safety while carrying Amy? Sure, they'd have to leave Marine behind, but that wouldn't mean she'd doom Amy just to die with Marine. Obviously, if she had the choice, she'd choose Amy. It's not explained that Cream can't fly for very far while holding someone. Are we supposed to assume that because of the video games? Because in Sonic Adventure, Tails flew a huge distance off the egg carrier while carrying Amy no problem. And you'd think Cream would be just as good at flying. Because convenience, it turns out that dolphins came to save them, even though in real life dolphins are gang rapists who kill baby dolphins. There's an entire article out there on why they're assholes. In the HFC Sonic-a-thon, there's a video where Ted did a whole rant about why dolphins are assholes. And you have to watch the video separate from the Sonic-a-thon that did cut out that whole rant. But I suppose there's also times when dolphins saved swimmers. I think I remember that, because why else would that be an urban legend in the first place? Considering what kind of world they live in, the dolphins being able to talk with normal speech wouldn't be completely out of the question, especially since normal-looking sea animals talked in Archie Sonic. But instead they have it be a lot more contrived, as Cheese and Chow is magically able to communicate with a dolphin and understand it correctly, despite their different types of brain. It's also not explained that Cheese is a telepathic mind reader who sees the images in a person's mind eye, and it's not explained that Cream can do that for Cheese. It's such an overly convoluted explanation for why the hero survived the situations, instead of the simple explanation that Marine swam to safety while Cream flew away while carrying Amy, which would be more boring, but would make actual sense. It would have made Marine look more talented because she was able to swim that far, and Cream look talented because she was able to fly that far with Amy. One of the robot pirates tells Blaze a story about why they follow Captain Metal now. Basically, the Doc never returned from the sea after he was looking for robots to repair. The only explanation is that either the Doc is Eggman in this universe, like maybe Eggman Mega, or he's Gerald Robotnik. And he had torn robots like Boltbeard apart to upgrade himself after challenging him for leadership of the island. Why was Captain Metal programmed to be able to act that way in his master's absence? That is some glitch. It was at least nice of Bean to offer to get a fruit smoothie made for her. Good! Blaze was courteous enough to drink it. Thank you, Blaze. She better have appreciated it. Anyways, now that the heroes are on an island, Amy reluctantly says that she should save Marine from a bunch of tiny sprocket robots picking her up and carrying her. At least it was relatable of her to be reluctant. Then it turns out that they want to help Blaze. So, there's good robots? So the heroes let them carry them away as a result of that convenience. Captain Metal brags to Blaze that he wants to use the Soul Emeralds in an engine of destruction for apparently no reason, and thinks that he can control them and not just her. You couldn't get more generic of a personality for a bad guy. But at least he's a Metal Sonic who can talk, and not Captain Whisker. Amy wonders if they have to help the tiny robots to get the Soul Emeralds back, and she and Marine climb up the tall metal tower by using the tiny robots as a ladder. So, do the robots already know Blaze well enough to know that Amy, Cream, and Marine are friends on sight? I guess the internet has a lot of information for them. But they're portrayed as, aboriginal natives to an island. Good thing they have access to the computer and the internet, despite their tribal ways. What do they want to portray them as? Realistically, someone complains about how long climbing up is taking. Captain Metal just assumes that the new weapon he has that appears to him conveniently was from another world entirely, and it was damaged and they fixed it. And it turns out that the new weapon of his is the Genesis Wave creator. and he plans on using the Soul Emeralds to power it so that he can have the tedious task of ruling a whole bunch of different planets at once. Again, generic power-hungry villain who doesn't think things all the way through. Amy and Cream see Blaze, who's generously being kept alive in the cage. I guess so that Captain Metal can sadistically make her watch, but he's lost all credibility already for not killing her just in case. Cream flies Amy over to Blaze. Marine stupidly marches up to the robot to try to get revenge, and her unbelievable idiocy forces Cream to save her and buys Metal the time to order the platform to be raised and tank doors to be opened. Just because Marine was annoying and ruined the story of one video game doesn't mean she should be written that way here. That's not learning from the mistakes of something else. Metal says he wants the magnet released just before they get freed, and when the Kraken's done with them, he'll pick out the other Soul Emerald. But he gets interrupted, so obviously something's gonna happen to him in the next panel. It's bad to have it be that obvious. Why on earth would a robot put up with having one eye? The only reason that pirates dealt with eye patches was because, well, one, they did get injuries, but they weren't robots who could just get a new eye for proper depth perception. And two, pirates wore them all day so that one of their eyes would always have instant perfect night vision for dealing with the dark basement of the pirate ship. Robots would just have night vision whenever they want. So this guy's only speaking like a cartoon pirate and dressed like one because his master thought he wanted a pirate robot. Then he finds out that Bean is walking away with a Soul Emerald, so they were only in it for making money off the gem. It would have made more sense that he was taking this kind of risk if he said that he doesn't think Captain Metal will be a good ruler of the universes and thinks he should be stopped, even if because it would inconvenience him. Because he could get all the money he wants by staying on his side, and then he wouldn't have to risk his life stealing anymore. He throws a bomb at the end and it blows up behind them, but it was pointless because it didn't go far enough to blow up Captain Metal. Logically, what would have happened is that he would have dropped the bomb near Captain Metal when he was stealing the Soul Emerald from him without him noticing. So the bomb would have blown him up. So this story, by Tracy Yardley, was about Amy, Cream, and Marine reuniting with Blaze to save the damsel in distress from the robot pirates. Because rather than Cream simply flying away to an island with Amy while Marine swam away, or even with Marine hanging off Amy the whole time, because we don't need Cream to be realistically unable to fly far enough with all of them if she's already able to magically fly. Instead, the writer forgets being simple and has dolphins conveniently save them for no real reason, just because Cheese the Child magically convinced them to help instead of the dolphin simply eating them. This saved by sea animals thing made sense in the Tales miniseries because the sea creatures were talking like sentient people. And this is a world full of talking animal people already. Dolphins are assholes in real life, so this is a dangerous message to give kids. The heroes then conveniently get carried to where Blaze was held, because some tiny robots are actually on her side apparently. It's not like the Soul Dimension version of Tales made them, and that's why they happen to be good, when their obviously deceased master cared enough to make an army of little servants for himself. This is a world where pirate ships with cannons are still in fashion. And yet the pirates are robots, and robots are so commonplace that there's these tiny good robots who just think of themselves as normal natives of an island. Why are they so limited in their ability to speak if they're intelligent enough to talk at all and know that Blaze is the good guy? Do they know about Blaze and recognize their friends because of the internet? They're a convenient convolution that just raise questions. It's such a convenient way for the heroes to find Blaze when it would have been much simpler if they had a Blaze tracker, like a tracking device in Blaze's clothes. Logically, Tails and Rhoda should have been smart enough to put tracking devices on every single one of the Freedom Fighters and their loved ones just in case. When Rick lost Morty in one story, he had a Morty detector. That was way simpler. And Marine really frustrates me by being unrealistically stupid charging up to Captain Metal when she obviously has no way of attacking him, which just delays Cream when she wants to save Blaze. But how did they even expect to get her out of the cage anyways just because they flew up to her? You'd think in a sci-fi universe where they both know Tails and Rotor, 1, Marine would be given a ray gun to fight with, and 2, Amy and Cream would have ray guns too, so they'd be able to free Blaze from the cage immediately, and in a way that would make a bit more sense, in a way that would have no drawbacks at all. But I guess if the cage is fireproof against Blaze, no amount of heat would ever melt it. Which means that they couldn't have a laser go straight through the bars. They'd be better off with a shrink ray. Another boring story where the heroes go reunite with their friend, but in a more convoluted way than they have to. It's not like being complicated is inherently bad, but it is when it's contrived. Captain Metal sure was lucky then the rewritten past. Fate coincidentally conspired so that the Genesis Wave machine got magically teleported to Captain Metal in another dimension entirely. What an arbitrary, forced side effect of the Genesis Wave. It sure was convenient for Captain Metal that his robots were super intelligent enough to know how to properly fix a machine that can rewrite all of reality at will. Which totally isn't way too overpowered. He's lucky that his pirates are able to engineer or fix anything at all. They're pirates, they know how to steal stuff, but that doesn't mean they're gonna know how to fix machines. I guess it would make sense that they'd know how to fix robots because they're robots, and they wouldn't survive this long otherwise. But robots are not identical to every other kind of machine. Like a machine like this. Also, in a supposed action series, there's no stakes, because we're not stupid enough to buy that the writing will ever let him achieve his goal. So like how Blaze thinks the world will end up destroyed. It's high stakes that's so high that it wraps around back to being low stakes because the tension is completely artificial. Even a character getting injured for a couple issues would never happen. So nobody's in any real danger. So what's the point? That's the problem with kid-friendly action series. It's just seeing how the characters get from point A to point B. I don't think we needed Captain Metal to have this as his weapon, instead of him just literally having an engine of destruction. That would be keeping it simple, without making it contrived. Honestly, this plot point was so forgettable that when I had to retype my review of this in the previous issue, I completely forgot that this machine was even a part of the story. That's probably because the tension was so artificial. At least with Pender's superhero crossover, we actually saw the bad guy rewrite reality to his liking for a bit, which made the tension of him having the Master Emerald to do that actually memorable. It gave you an image to immediately bring up when you remembered his whole plan. And we saw him actually succeed, even if only briefly. This doesn't even have the guts to do that. So we'll never know what exactly his whole vision for the world is like. I'm guessing robots everywhere instead of organics. The real problem with this story arc is its complete lack of creativity. I was so bored I had to force myself to read the dialogue. Of all the settings for a Blaze story, why the ocean again? Why have her fight pirates again? Even I could come up with a story like this because it was already done in Rush Adventure, and I'd be embarrassed. You couldn't have her in literally anywhere else?